Look at you, sitting there, surrounded by the people who supposedly know you best, while they feast on the bones of someone who isn't in the room. You're nodding. You're smiling, that fake, pathetic smile. You feel the bile rising in your throat because you know that by staying silent, you're a coward. But by joining in, you're just another scavenger. You are drowning in a sea of small-minded garbage, letting people who haven't grown in a decade dictate your character. You're becoming a secondary character in a tragedy written by losers. I can only afford to say this to you, my friend, because I used to be exactly like you. Maybe even worse. I am here to wake you up. If your case is special and more complicated, write it in the comments. I read all the comments, and I will absolutely make a detailed breakdown specifically of your case. But today, I want to tell you how to handle the old guard, those childhood friends and family members who try to drag you back into the mud of gossip. I'm going to teach you a zero-effort method of psychological Aikido that doesn't just shut them up. It makes them ashamed of who they've become. At the very end of this video, I will give you the master key that shatters their control permanently. Watch closely. Let's expose the mechanism of what is happening in that circle. Your friends and family are practicing what I call the scavenger's tax. Because they have stopped growing, they have no new achievements or dreams to share. Their only currency is the destruction of others. When they drag someone else down, they feel a temporary artificial sense of superiority. They demand that you pay this tax by joining in. If you don't talk trash, you aren't paying the tax, and that makes them insecure. Here is how they were taught to enforce this tax. Since childhood or over years of knowing you, they developed a system of mutual degradation. They check your loyalty by seeing if you are willing to get as dirty as they are. If you laugh at the divorce, the bankruptcy, or the failure of a mutual acquaintance, they know you are still one of them, small, scared, and stagnant. They use your shared history as a cage to keep you from outgrowing them. Most people handle this by getting defensive or sitting in awkward silence. That is a loser's strategy. Silence makes you look like a coward who disagrees but is too scared to speak up. Arguing makes them defensive and unites them against you. Psychological Aikido dictates that we do neither. We do not push back. We pull them forward. We take their momentum, their desire to gossip, and we stretch it until it snaps. To pull this off, you must embody a mindset of absolute superiority over the conversation. Understand this fundamental truth, my friend. To speak of another's failure is to confess your own lack of a future. When you realize that their gossip is just a loud, crying admission that their own lives are empty and boring, you stop feeling annoyed. You start feeling pity. And pity is the fuel of the hunter. The old guard is dangerous because they know your past. They remember the times you failed, the times you were insecure, and the times you participated in this exact same garbage. They use those memories to anchor you to the ground. To break free, you cannot act like a saint. You must act like someone who has evolved. While they are still dragging their knuckles in the mud, here is trap 1, the bait. When they start tearing someone apart, do not look disgusted. Do not roll your eyes. Instead, look intensely interested. Lean in. Nod your head. Say, "Go on. Tell me more about that." You are luring them into a trap by giving them the floor. You want them to empty their entire clip of poison. Let them get comfortable. Let them think you are enjoying the show. As they are talking, apply the hunter's silence. Do not offer any counter-arguments. Do not offer your own stories. Just stare at the person speaking. When they finish a sentence and look at you for validation, just maintain eye contact for 2 seconds longer than is comfortable before saying, "Interesting." This makes them feel like a specimen under a microscope, rather than a friend sharing a laugh. Now we set trap 2, the corner. You are going to start contrasting the person they are acting like right now with the person they used to be when you were younger. You need to remind them that they didn't always used to be this pathetic. You do this by looking around the circle, letting a slight sad smile touch your face, and preparing to deliver the kill shot. You need to understand, my friend, that every one of these people sitting around you started with fire. They had plans. They had ambitions. But somewhere along the line, they stopped trying to climb their own mountain and started throwing rocks at the people who actually did. They traded their swords for spoons to eat the leftovers of other people's lives. They don't even realize they are starving because they're too busy chewing on someone else's reputation. This is trap 3. The point of no return. You drop the bomb. Wait for a lull in the laughter, look the most aggressive gossiper in the eyes, and say it. Remember when we used to talk about our own dreams instead of other people's failures? What happened to that? Say it with zero anger, no edge in your voice, just pure, cold curiosity. You aren't accusing them, you're observing their decay. Now watch the blood drain from their faces. That is the sound of their souls hitting the floor. They will stutter. They will try to laugh it off or say, "You're being too serious." Do not blink. Do not laugh. Keep that same expression of mild disappointment. You have just forced them to look into the mirror of their own wasted potential. Let the silence hang there like a noose until it becomes unbearable. Before they can recover and turn the group against you, you must pivot to power. Immediately mention one thing you are building, not dreaming about, but building. A project, a new skill, or a physical milestone. Make it sound so monumental that their previous gossip feels like ants arguing over a breadcrumb. You aren't bragging. You're simply stating facts from a much higher altitude than they can reach. If they get defensive and say, "Oh, it's not that deep, we're just having fun," use strategic absurdity. Tilt your head and say, "I know. It's just interesting how much time we spend on name. It's almost like we're their fan club. Are we getting shirts made?" This turns their fun into a pathetic obsession. You're making it clear that talking about others is a sign of being a fan, not a peer. This is the social reset. By refusing to pay the scavenger's tax, you have effectively promoted yourself to the leader of the hierarchy without saying a word. They will now filter what they say around you. They will try to impress you with substance because they know you no longer accept garbage. You have killed the parasite of gossip in your circle by starving it of the attention it needs to survive. Here is your field test. In the next 24 hours, you will attend a gathering or sit with your family. When the first drop of poison is spilled about someone who isn't there, perform the bait. Lean in and let them empty their clip. Then deliver the nostalgia kill. Don't blink. Don't soften the blow. Just drop the question and watch the room freeze. That silence is your victory. I want you to come back here and report the results in the comments. Tell me exactly what their faces look like when the reality of their own stagnation hit them. Describe the silence. I'm going to read every single one of these because your evolution from a scavenger to a hunter is the only thing that matters in this wasteland of a world. And now, for those of you who stayed until the end, here is the master key. The ultimate power over people isn't winning the argument. It's being genuinely bored by their drama. When you are truly focused on your empire, you don't refrain from gossip. You literally don't have the room for it in your brain. To a loser, your boredom is more terrifying than your anger because it proves they no longer exist in your world. You're no longer a scavenger. You are the hunter. Now go back to the world and show them the difference. We're done here.